I was 5 years old the first time something stood at the foot of my bed and watched me try to scream. I didn't have a word for it then. I still don't have a good one now. But if you've ever woken up in the dark and felt the air go wrong before you even opened your eyes, you already know the feeling I'm about to describe. I'm Nadia, and this is Very Dark Stories. When I was 5, my family moved into an old farmhouse in rural Alabama, antebellum, the kind of place with wide porches and a foundation that had settled into the land like it had grown there instead of being built. It came with history. It came with a family cemetery in the backyard, a dozen leaning headstones behind a fence so old the wood had gone soft and gray, like driftwood that had forgotten it used to be a tree. My room was upstairs, bunk beds against the window. And from the top bunk, if I turned my head, I had a clean, unobstructed view of that cemetery every single night. Nobody thought much of it. It was the 80s. Kids slept near old graveyards all the time back then, and nobody called a realtor about it. One afternoon, my father was at work, and my mother took my sister to the grocery store. I stayed home, alone, in my room, upstairs. The way 5-year-olds sometimes were left back then. For 20 minutes, 30. No big deal. I heard my grandmother's voice call my name from downstairs. That should have been impossible. My grandmother lived in the next state over. But I was 5, and 5-year-olds don't question good news. So I ran down those stairs expecting to see her standing in the living room, maybe with a bag of something sweet in her hand. The living room was empty. I checked the blinds. No car in the driveway. No dust settling on the road like someone had just pulled away. Nothing. I stood there a second, the way kids do when the world hiccups and then rights itself. And then I went back upstairs and picked my toys back up like nothing had happened. Because nothing had happened. Not yet. A few nights later, I woke up in the dark. There was someone standing at the head of my bed. Not a shape, exactly. Not a shadow, exactly either. It was more like, you know the way old televisions used to hiss with static when a channel lost signal? That fine gray shimmer of nothing and everything at once? It was that. A person-shaped patch of that. Pale blue-white, faintly glowing the way a television glows in a dark room. And see-through. I could make out the wall behind it, warped slightly, like looking through old glass. It didn't move. It didn't speak. It just stood there, at the head of my bed. Close enough that if it had been a person, I could have reached out and touched it. I tried to scream for my mother. Nothing came out. I want you to understand what that's like. At 5 years old. Opening your mouth as wide as it will go. Pushing every bit of air you have behind a sound and getting silence back. I tried again. And again. My throat worked. My lungs worked. No sound came. The whole time, it just stood there. Watching, I assume. It didn't have eyes I could describe. It didn't need them. I don't remember what happened after that. I don't remember falling back asleep. I don't remember mourning. That part of the tape is just gone. And I never told anyone. Not my parents. Not my sister. Not a single soul. For years.
A couple of weeks later, my parents packed up the house and we moved to a different town. Nobody explained why. Nobody sat me down and said, "We're leaving because of the thing in your room." We just left, the way families sometimes do. And I was young enough that I didn't ask questions I now wish I'd asked. My parents are both gone now. My sister was too young at the time to remember any of it. So what's left is just me, and this one memory that's followed me for almost 40 years, and a question I've never been able to answer. Did my parents see something too? Is that actually why we left that house so fast? I called my grandmother recently. She thinks the house was somewhere around Grove Hill, Alabama. She doesn't remember ever being told anything strange happened there. I went looking for that cemetery, the one with the leaning stones and the soft gray fence, and I couldn't find it. I don't even know if the house is still standing. Someone else, in a thread about this kind of thing, used a phrase that stopped me cold. Static people. Said it like it was a known category, a thing that happens to more than just me. If that's true, if this has a name, if this has happened to other people in other houses next to other cemeteries, I would like to know. Because I've spent almost 4 decades assuming I imagined a television-shaped man standing over my bed in the dark. I don't think I did. I'm Nadia. Thank you for sitting with this one.